Hello everybody, my name is Martin Aguirre and this will be my presentation on distracted driving and why we should steer away from it. And so here's my introduction. As time and technology progress, so does the epidemic of distracted driving. An effect that undermines the very dangerous fact that distracted driving can cause a heavy machine at high velocity be without control for short periods of time. The fact that heavy machinery traveling at high speeds needs time to slow down with complete and total control in order to avoid injury or even death. These incidents can be avoided with the reiteration on the dangerous reality of distracted driving and how to prevent it, thus hopefully slowing or even eliminating distracted driving, causing safer road conditions. And in the American Journal of Public Health, there was a study trend on distracted driving fatalities in the United States between the years of 1999 and 2008. And there was actually a downward trend in distracted driving fatalities until the year 2005, which saw an increase of 28% due to the technology boom and people using their phones more as they drove and stuff like that. But before we can continue with distracted driving, we first must understand what is distracted driving. And according to the National Survey on Distracted Driving Attitudes and Behaviors, these were the most common things people do when distracted driving. It's not just using your cell phone. Talking to another passenger came at 80%. So talking to a passenger is actually one of the distracting things of distracted driving. I did not know that. Adjusting your car radio, which is at 65%. Eating and drinking at 45%. Making and accepting phone calls at 40%. Using a portable music player at 30%. And interacting with children in the back seat at 27%. All of these are things that are part of distracted driving, which are not safe practices when we drive. And in order to keep the road safe, we need to try to avoid these. But these are just the most common, and it's based on a phone survey and that's why they came out. And we have here the continued survey, the attitudes towards the distracted driving. 72% identified that 2 seconds or less the maximum duration with eyes off the road before it can become dangerous. So that's a high percentage, and that's the majority. But we can see here that 1/3 of young drivers 18 to 24 identify with longer duration of 3 to 4 seconds and 5 to 10 seconds or more. And we can see that by this, that young drivers tend to be more affected in distracted driving. And we can see here in the New England Journal of Medicine that young novice drivers actually constitute of 10% of vehicle fatalities and 14% in police reported injuries. And yes, we can see that distracted driving does tend to be more popular in the young novice drivers, but it does also affect other ages and other generations in elderly and middle-aged drivers. And we can see here in the journal by Science Direct, in both groups of the elderly and middle-aged drivers, they both tend to slow down and maintain a speed in order to free up mental resources. But even though they were able to slow down and maintain gain more mental resources, they were not able to maintain the safety. They were committing many safety errors, and that is just not safe road practice. And so here we have another study on the effects of traffic flow with distracted driving. And this study focused a lot on the cell phone usage in a simulation. And in this simulation, it found in the studies that there was many lane deviation and crashes and many lane congestion during the distraction periods of taking a phone call, sending a text. And when we see these effects, we understand that they are unsafe. And so in order to prevent this, we need to understand what we can do to prevent it. So what has there been for prevention? There has been legislation passed that does fine people that do get caught being on their phone while driving, and we all don't want to be caught with a fine or anything like that. And we do also need to remember the fact that we do drive heavy vehicles at high speeds, which is very dangerous. We all need to understand that vehicles our driving vehicles are very heavy, and driving at high speeds, they need time to slow down. And so we also have here that with our phones, they come out with a new feature that is focus mode. And with focus mode, our phones are able to allow us to be able to drive without any distractions. Our phones will be placed in a certain mode that will continue to keep us from getting text messages or phone calls, and it will send a notification to the other people that are trying to come in contact with us that we're driving and that we are busy, and when we get to our destination, we will have time to call them back and be able to respond. And that's what we need to do, is eliminate the unsafe practice of distracted driving. And so, my conclusion, we have seen through the studies that drivers undermine the fact that we drive heavy machinery at high speeds, and that the many effects it has had throughout time, as well as how it affects the drivers of all ages. The fact remains that when drivers get into their vehicles, they are entering heavy machinery that will be driving at high speeds, which can cause injury or death. So, I remind you of this very fact and persuade all you to practice safe driving. And so here's my references. And so I just would like to reiterate to all of you that we need to practice safe driving and try to leave our emotions at the door when we get into our vehicles, and to do our best in avoiding distracted driving. Thank you.